guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Jenny from Polly's Paper Studio, and I'm very happy to announce that I have found a use for that tiny little die that came with my Spellbinders Cinch and Go Poinsettia. You have seen in a previous video, I have created lots of holiday flowers with that die, but never quite got the hang of what that small little rectangle was for, so I decided today to create some easy Santa buckles with that die, and then we're going to show different ways to use the belt and then create this card, which is very fun and festive for the holiday. So let's make this together. Okay, so we have the Cinch and Go Poinsettia die from Spellbinders, and I have been using it to create quite a few poinsettias for my Christmas projects, including this one, and how I have done this layered with the additional details will be linked in the description below. I did a whole video on the different ways you can add the details and centers and all that. So I have been getting a lot of use out of the flower portion of this die. But here's that little stem, and you'll see if you watch that first video that I just couldn't figure out what the heck this was meant to be for. Someone said it's meant to be for the assembly, but I didn't use it for that, and it was just in the package, and I thought to myself, I wonder if it would cut a portion out of a square, and then I could use it as like a Santa buckle. So what I did was I picked up some very glittery cardstock. This comes from Michael's, and it is already on like 110-pound cardstock. It's very thick, and that matters because you don't want your buckle to be bendy when you add it to your piece. So for this measurement, it came out to be 1 inch exactly that it cut out. So I made my squares to be 1.5 inches. So I've cut a few here, and I was just working along as I kind of wanted to get a lot of use out of the paper, so I cut a whole strip off that was 1.5 inches, and then I cut them down into the smaller squares. So basically what I've got here now is that I took a ruler and measured in 1/4 inch all the way around, because what I want to do is center that buckle and keep that even. So I took a bit of washi tape and added that to the back. I cut it from the back, that die right to the edge, and centered it and taped that down so that I could run it through my die cutting machine. I got one side, flipped it over, and did the other. So here is what it looks like from the back, and now the front looks like a buckle. So now what you want to do is think about the belt part, and I think classic Santa look is black and silver, so I've cut some strips of black to feed through that buckle. Here's the first project I did, and I think this is very adorable. It is a great use for scraps. This is definitely a scrappier stash, because if you're already making Christmas cards, you know you've got those extra little pieces left over. I went ahead and adhered mine to 110-pound cardstock because I wanted to pop up that layer and make a very sturdy, substantial dimensional tag. And then I embellished it with a eyelet here at the top and some twine. Now you could easily just add more twine and tie this on to a gift, or make a label if you're making treats. Then you want to make sure people know what is in the treat. Or what a great thing to do with kids. This is a great kid project because you can cut that buckle for them and then let them do all the rest. So group project is good, kid project very good, and scrap projects is excellent. So I took that concept and added it to a larger card. This is really going to be a sweet and simple card. You can use this for a thank you card, or someone who you want to give just a little Christmassy sentiment too. Very classic and simple and easy to mail. This will fit in the standard A2 size envelope. So once I had that done, you know, I can't ever stop. And I created my buckle for the next project, and I thought it would be cute to create sort of a Santa look. So I've got a card base here. This is another A2 size, so that's going to be 4¼ by 5½. And then I cut a piece of red cardstock here. I wanted it to not just look like regular cardstock, so I ran the bottom through my die cutting machine inside this embossing folder. This is from Sizzix, and I only put in the portion on the bottom that I wanted to create that texture. This is just like a crosshatch, so it's pretty classic, and it is going to sort of give some dimension and interest to what would just be plain cardstock. Before I add it to anything, I've also added a bit of faux snow to the top, and that looks just a little bit extra festive. And then I've cut a couple of layers here, so I'm going to add those and then work on the embellishments. So I've got my silver layer on the black. This is just plain cardstock, and before I add my red layer, I do want to add a few details. So I want to add some buttons to the top, and I thought this would be a great way to accent those buttons. So this is just white cardstock, and I've given it a border of that silver again, and I'm placing that in the middle. And this is where I'm going to attach my buttons. Before I do that though, let's put that buckle on. So this is the same buckle as on the other projects. I tapped it into place with one piece of tape so that it would be flat and in the center. And then I added more of that adhesive around, and I'm going to wrap it before I adhere it to the card base. So I'm just eyeballing the center here, and I think maybe just a little bit lower than middle, because that's where a belt would look normal. And I'm going to wrap it around very carefully, see, and tuck it around the edge. Sometimes it makes sense to cut your edge so that it would line up right here where your cut edge is on the base, but because this is textured, there would not be any good way to secure that area on the edge where it might be fragile. So I decided that wrapping it would be the best solution to that, and now I am confident that that will not fall apart, and I can add it to the card base. You know, this is a use it or lose it project again, because I just do not reach for my embossing folders often enough. Okay, now here is the fun part. I got some vintage buttons, and I'm just going to line them up here. I put a little thread through them so that they would stick down with hot glue. And last but not least, I have this cute little evergreen styled chenille stem, and I'm going to add it to the bottom of the card using more of that hot glue. So here are the 3 projects I've created with that Santa buckle that I made with the Spellbinders Cinch and Go Poinsettia die. If you guys enjoy this type of project where I'm using my stash or finding alternate uses for my tools, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to come up with more great ideas for things we already have on hand. So as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.